Hey everyone, welcome again to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't, please do. Anyway, thank you for supporting me and watching this my great interactions with people of different genres, people from different walks of life. They could be writers, mostly I deal with writers. They could be within the cinema. They could be perhaps doctors, anything like that. So today also I have with me a very interesting person with me today. She is from Canada. Okay, she is a writer of fiction and memoirs. She kind of writes up stories mostly about how it's growing up in Canada. I believe that she writes about growing up in Canada as a Greek. So my guest today has written um, lots of essays and short stories, and these have appeared in pardon me, and also online magazines and journals as well. She has a BA in criminology, I have to be careful, and masters in clinical social work. So, welcome everyone, welcome Irene to the stream. Hey Irene.
Good morning. I guess it's good evening there. It's quite the time switch. Thank you, Yasser, for the
Right,
invitation.
right.
I appreciate it.
Right. So, welcome, Irene. I believe I have given a small introduction about yourself. Okay, so why not hear it from your own words?
An introduction to me. Well, I'm currently I'm a writer. I just published my first novel, full-length novel. Had done a lot of short stories and essays, as I think you mentioned at the top of your introduction. And this is my first full-length novel. It's called All the Evil Scatters, and it's available
All events correct.
everywhere, right?
Wow,
So
wow, wow, wow.
yeah, so I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I came from Greece as a small child with my parents.
Okay,
So I've lived
okay.
most of my life here, got my education here, worked in a different world, social work for many years, and then administration. So, but writing was always my passion. I've been writing since I was probably a teenager. Like most teenagers,
Same
that's when
here.
they pick up pen to paper and they
True,
write
true.
about the heartbreak of love and all of that.
Guilty.
We're all guilty of that, right? So
Right.
yeah, so that's it about me. And I currently, again, live in Toronto. I live with my little dog here. I don't know if anyone can see him. He's always
Well,
beside me.
hi. Hi. Nice.
Yeah, so he's
Nice.
always beside
Okay.
me. And
True.
yeah, so that's it about me. I mean, I could talk
I
all
get it.
day,
No,
but I'm sure you don't want that.
no, we would welcome that, but let's kind of how to say, every writer, I believe, every writer, every individual, be it of any profession, he or she has a beginning. How did you become a writer? Like you said, of course, you mentioned that you had a kind of passion for writing since a very young age. But what is your profession? How did writing come into it?
Yeah, I guess having worked in administration, it's always about writing. It's business writing. It's very different from writing fiction or even, nonfiction. But business writing is very stilted, very dry, very, business-like, if you will.
Ah,
And I've written several other manuscripts over the years, but I just never did anything with them. I would get an idea, and as an example, I found an old manuscript when I was going through my boxes, and
okay.
I found something that I had written, like, I don't know, 20-25 years ago, and I had forgotten
Oh,
about.
wow.
So
Wow.
I've been trying to get it typed up and modernizing it, because there's a lot of dated things. For example, people don't smoke in a restaurant anymore, right? So there were things
True.
like that, and telephones had a cord, so it
Yeah.
was very, very
Those who
dated.
are
Yeah.
right.
So it was just an outlet for me to write things that interested me. I do like writing about historical fiction, although this current novel is a psychological thriller. It's a bit,
Yeah, this one.
it's edgy for sure. It's not for everyone. So, but I do like to take events from history and turn them into some kind of a novel. My next book that I've just completed my first draft is called The Luck of the Draw, and it was inspired by
Oh,
the events of 9/11.
oh, okay, okay. Right,
So
right,
it's
okay.
not, yeah, it's not about 9/11 per se, but it's about,
Ah,
it's a romance, it's a drama, it's a bit of
right, right.
a bit of a thrilling ride, but it's not horror or anything like that, right? It's
So
historical.
in short, it's an Indian movie. Indian
There you
movie.
go. Love it.
So I understand. So why I mentioned Indian movies, because we have what we call in our kind of slang language is masala. It's like everything put in together. You have action, you have thrilling, you have romance, everything put in together.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So yeah, and now that you mention, I do have sort of a connection with Indian movies. Uh,
okay, okay,
growing up in Toronto, I mean, there weren't a lot of resources for people, immigrants in particular, and at that
right,
time it was, Southern Europeans. And my parents, because they didn't have a lot of money and they didn't have things to do for us, we would go to the Greek movies. And they were
okay.
always followed by a famous actress of yours, Nargis.
Nargis, yeah, right,
Nargis,
yeah,
yes. And so
right.
so I knew from a very young age, like the Greek and the Indian movies were always together. It's such a funny thing, but that's my memory, right? And it's
Nice,
that,
nice.
yeah,
See, but I just was thinking of something when you said about how you got into writing. What you said, you were writing about thrillers, right? You were writing about thrillers, right?
about
Your book
thriller.
is
A little
uh,
bit of thriller. Yeah, this was my first, and I don't know why I started with that genre, but it was a story I needed to tell. I wanted to explore the concept of nature versus nurture. Like, why do people commit crimes? And, people
right,
grow
right,
up in the same family, and one of the kids is a little bit different, right? Like, why does that happen?
right.
And then they go on to commit crimes and that sort of thing. So,
Ah,
yeah.
no, I was actually coming to it. See, one thing which you mentioned at the beginning is about young age writing heartbroken love stories or whatever. See, about myself, even I grew up like that. I used to be completely hooked into films. There is a popular uh, kind of Indian or North Indian film actor called Shah Rukh Khan, named Shah Rukh Khan. Perhaps you would have heard somewhere. I used to be a big fan of Shah Rukh Khan at a very young age. So at the age of 10, I proposed to a girl like how he proposed to her, like how he would propose to a heroine in a movie at the age of 10. Okay. But as I grew up, slightly wanted to go more into sports. Then that became thrillers. Then that became horror. So my moods kept changing.
Right.
So the way I write also started changing. How and what are your interests? Leave aside this book, this first book which I've written. What are your interests in reading? What do you look for in a book?
Yeah, I look for a book that is entertaining, but at the same time teaches me something. Like, for
Nice, nice.
example, I was at my we I have a book club that we meet monthly, and
Okay.
we read a book about, it took place during the time of apartheid in South Africa,
Ah,
and it's by
yeah.
an author, Trevor Noah, and it's
Trevor
called,
Noah, right.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
I know.
called
Yeah,
Born a Crime.
right,
And
right. I
so, I
know.
mean, it made me look at the perspective as a white person and as a woman. I mean, as a woman, I've faced a lot of discrimination for sure, but not as much as, a black woman, let's say. And it was interesting the way he wrote. He was very comical, but, it becomes very dark because he had a difficult life growing up, and he's quite young. He was born, I think, in 1984. But he has a full life in that story. So to answer your question, I want to learn. I want to be entertained. I want to cry, maybe. I want to laugh. I want a range of emotions. I don't just want to, oh, yeah, that's okay, whatever, So, yeah.
If I may put it over here, I myself am an author, and my books are kind of like what you asked for. If I
Yeah.
write a thriller, there will be romance, there will be drama, there will be action all together. And
Yes.
like I was telling you, I used to watch a lot of films since childhood. So you would know that Indian films have a lot of songs in them.
Hmm.
I use songs in my books as poetry. I write
Right.
poems.
Yeah.
Right, nice. Okay. So coming back to you, because this interview is about you. Marvin, coming back to you. See, you said you wrote a thriller, you started writing, you were interested. What how do I put it? What part of it is you felt that this is it, this is my book, this is the portion in my book that speaks about everything? What portion in your book? Could you repeat the name again?
All the
Your
evil
book's name?
scatters.
All Evil Scatters. What portion of All Evil Scatters says that this is your book?
That's a very good question. I mean, I think, I grew up watching crime drama. I don't know if you have Law and Order there in India.
Lana, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like all those types of shows. So
Right, right.
I wanted to incorporate that in my book. So that's when I thought, okay, yeah, that's me, because this is what I grew up watching. I grew up reading Stephen King. So I think there are
Yeah,
elements of horror in my book. It's not science
yeah.
fiction. Like some of Stephen King is science fiction, but it is, they're horrible
Well,
situations, right? A
right,
lot of,
right, right.
yeah. So I think, so that's what kind of, I mean, I'm not saying I'm Stephen King or I'm a Law and Order episode writer, but I think all those elements came together in this book for me. And it's probably, people ask me if I'm going to write a sequel to the book. And I said, oh, I don't know. It was a hard book to write because you have to get into the mind of a criminal, and
Ah,
a criminal who commits very horrible acts on other human beings, right? So, but I may resurrect. I don't want to spoil it for anyone in terms of the ending and that, but I may resurrect it and do like some of the same characters in a subsequent novel. But I don't know. I didn't think I wanted to touch this genre again.
no, that would be awesome. But I also thought of one thing. I don't wish to sound gender biased or whichever term you like, kind of sexist or whatever term you use for it. But normally, if say females or girls or women, they may be more interested in some kind of emotion, books that show some kind of emotion. You seem more tilted towards thrillers and horror. How is that so?
It's funny that you mention it because a friend of mine just started the book, and men tend not to like my book. But
Wow, wow.
yeah, but women love it. So I don't know what it is about the genre, but most of the, and so, not all of the men, I don't want to sound like I'm discriminating, but I think they can't get past certain imagery, certain ideas in the beginning of the
Okay,
book, and so it's
okay.
hard for them to continue. So it's interesting, why I'm attracted to that, right? A lot of women love horror and thrillers and all of that. So, and I'm not saying men don't, because I don't know. I didn't do a survey or anything like that, but
No.
it's just my own sort of anecdotal information that I have.
Well, I'm not the right person to comment on that because believe me, I have written on romance, I have written thrillers, I have written horror, and I have written book of poetry, all mixture. That's why
Yeah, I do
I
too. Yeah, I have all of that. I
I-
mean, I've been shortlisted for short stories and
wow, wow.
memoirs. Even one of my poetry made the top 10 for an award. So many years ago. So so I've dabbled in everything, and I write what I enjoy. I mean, I'm not going to say,
Perfect.
oh, I'm a crime writer now, I'm going to just write about crime. But I want to write about romance. I want to talk about what's happened in history and explore one other book that I'm sort of working on. It's very, very draft, and it's about the the military occupation of Greece between 67 and
Okay.
74.
Okay. Okay.
It's like, a military government for 7 years. And some of those events, because I was young, but I still remember elements of it. I wasn't in Greece at that time, I was here. And it always inspired me, that whole story about the military coup and what was going on in South America. So I want to explore those issues in my writing. So that's why everything is different, because I like different things.
Super, super. See, I like to, like I was telling in the beginning, I like to understand the story behind a writer or an artist. Okay, let's keep it more generic, an artist.
Mhm.
So, just to have an insight about your story, would you be willing to tell a little about your family? Like, who all are there? Um, how does your day go on? Something like that. Other than
My
Neo, we have met Neo, of course.
Yeah, sadly my parents have both passed away, so I don't have them, but I do have an extended family. But Canada is such a big country, as is India, and everybody lives
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Right, right.
so my family has sort of become my friends who live locally here. And I have some family back in Greece, but I don't really know them, because
Okay.
growing up we didn't really I guess associate with them. We didn't go back to Greece. And people move on and have their own lives. And yeah, so I have Neo for now. And yeah, and I'm surrounded by people all the time.
This is what I was coming to. See, your how the term I would like to use is not alienated. You live in your own world. This gives you space. I believe this gives you space for
Yes.
imagination, right?
Yes.
Is is Greece part of pardon me? Is Greece part of any of your books? Any of what you write?
Absolutely. So when I wrote this book, it focuses on one of the Greek superstitions of the evil eye.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
Many cultures have the evil eye, so,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's
Right.
why the eye is
Right. Right.
right.
Right. Right.
So but you have to read the book to get that, but I'm just telling you because we're here in this moment. And so it talks about how the impact of the evil eye it can have on people. And I grew up with these superstitious beliefs, so Greece always figures prominently in my life. But so does Toronto, because it is a local book, so it has a lot about
Right.
Toronto and the various
Right.
places, and people have really enjoyed seeing that aspect of it, because they say,
Right.
oh my god, most people who write about New York, or they write about America or somewhere, because that's where you think the market is. And for me, that was the story I wanted to write. I know Toronto. I don't know Chicago or any other place, right? So, yeah.
True. No, this also like why not you read something a small stanza or something from your book so we can have an idea of how it's going.
Okay. Can you hear me
Need
okay?
not
Cuz
reveal.
yeah.
Perfect. You need not reveal a
Okay.
lot, just a small stanza.
Okay, well let me I'll just start maybe in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and I'll read a page or two. How much? You tell me when to
Just
stop.
a page is enough. Okay, I just want to
Okay.
have an or even the what you call that preface. What
Oh,
if you have
oh,
a preface?
yeah, there's no preface, no.
Okay.
I'll start now. It's chapter 1.
All right.
The boy shifted carefully and reached out sideways. He was unable to fully extend his arms, his elbows bending in protest. as the tight sleeves of his shirt pinched his skin. He brought his hand to his face and imagined seeing his fingers as he wiggled them. Tiring of that, he stumbled to his feet and reached, as he always did, for the handle, hoping the door was unlocked. A
Stop.
rut.
This, no, one second. This is what I wanted. Hoping that, continue, complete that sentence. Hoping. What was
uh,
that sentence in the end?
hoping,
Hoping.
hoping, hoping the door was unlocked.
Hoping that door was unlocked. This is what I wanted. To give a kind of a moment of suspense. What happens next? This is
Right.
what I want to know. So your words give that. Readers would like to know what happens next. I don't want you to read the entire book over here. People should read a book.
No problem.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's important for people to, you don't want them to put it down when they read the first sentence, right? You want to give them
right.
a hook, is what we call it,
A
right?
hook. Yeah, that's a hook. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
So thank you. Yeah.
So, okay, let's make it a little more cheerful over here because you were speaking lots about thrillers and horrors and all. Say, suppose you were a character in the book and Neo was another character in the book. What would you tell?
A character of me and Neo. Oh my God. It would be, that song? What's it called? I am your mother. You listen to me. So, because he doesn't listen to me. So, you know, well, part of that's
Uh,
probably my fault.
how old is Neo? How old is Neo?
He's almost 3 years old.
Yeah, perfect, perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
so he's a COVID dog. So he has a lot of issues of isolation.
Okay.
Like he's happy at home, but he's not very
Uh,
happy on the street because everything spooks him.
no, this is what I was getting into the first. A writer's life speaks about the writer. Your environment, Neo, your upbringing, all say a lot of things about you. I do
Yeah.
not know how many people will understand this. Because I am a writer, because you are a writer, it's kind of a hidden message between us. I understand there are lots of, no matter how much you write in the book, there are lots of untold stories. I get it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, maybe a children's book will be next, maybe, the dog Neo and his fears, because
Right, right,
kids especially have fears. We all have fears, right? And
right,
maybe how he overcomes it with the help of his mother, his fur
right,
mom.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, that would be a good idea. That would be an awesome idea. A book about Neo and his fears. Actually, that could be enjoyed by children.
Oh,
Who
maybe we
knows?
should
That could
cut
be the
that out
next.
of the story because somebody's going to take the idea.
That's okay. That's under wraps. That's under
Yeah.
wraps.
No
Okay.
worries.
Cool. So this book is right now on Amazon, or is it anywhere else?
It's on Amazon and a number of other bookstores around the world, but it's basically an online order. It's not like, you can't get it. You can get it in India through Amazon, but you can't get it
Yeah.
in a bookstore, let's say in India, unless it becomes a national bestseller, after this interview, right?
Hopefully. No, what I was coming to is because some people, like myself included, I also publish on Amazon, perhaps on Barnes and Noble, perhaps on Lulu.com, some other sites like this also. So,
Absolutely.
is your book available on?
Yeah, it's
No, is your book
available on
available?
yes. It's available on Barnes and Noble. It's available at Target stores. It's also available through the Canadian book chain Indigo, um, like the color
Right.
indigo. And so it's available in a number of brick and mortar locations too, like physical copies, but
Okay.
only in Toronto, right? So, but it is available. You just have to Google the
Right.
name and you'll find the outlets
Done.
that sell it. Yeah. But
Perfect.
Amazon is
Okay,
the
Wayne, for the
main.
last time, for the last time, just show your book on the screen. Show your book on the screen.
Okay.
Display your book on
There
the
we
screen.
go.
Right? So everyone, that is all the evil scatters. Okay, that's the book for you by Irene. Irene, your full name is? Your complete name
Irene
is?
Fantopoulos.
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 Irene Fantopoulos. Please, okay, pardon me, that's like trying to rehearse Joey, if you know, in the French serial. I try to imitate him. So Joey was Greek, I guess, in that.
Yes. Yes.
Fantopoulos. Pardon me if
Thank
I'm
you.
getting
You
it wrong.
nailed it. You
Okay,
did a
fine.
good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
everyone, please do get the book. Please do read it. Okay. And Irene, what's your next plan? You said you're having some other book coming up.
Yeah, so I finished a first draft of Luck of the Draw, which is based around the events of 9/11. It's a romance drama, kind of
Right.
sad, kind of happy, kind of, you know,
No,
different.
I would definitely get that. I'll take a look in your first book also, but I would definitely wait for the second one. That's
All
more of
right.
my time, more of my side.
Okay. See,
Is that
yeah,
right?
every book has its
Okay.
people.
Right. So Irene, this is the beauty of it. Like we mentioned at the beginning, you are in another time zone. I am in another time zone. It's like east and west. We are at different poles, kind of literally poles of the world, and yet it's daytime for you. It's nighttime for me. Yet we speak. Yet we are having fun. I hope you are having fun. I hope all the viewers of this video are having fun, and we got to share ideas like this. Right?
Yes.
Any last words? Any
This
last
has
words?
been a great opportunity, Yasser, to speak to somebody from so far away. Because, I mean, I do engage with local people because this is where I live. I don't get to engage with people in India or anywhere else in the world. I mean, I did an interview with a lady who lives in Australia, so I love it when I
Okay.
can just
Okay.
talk to people. Yes. So thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure meeting you. And, maybe I'll come back when I do my next novel and we can talk about that.
Definitely. Definitely. You're most welcome, I think. All right. All right, Irene. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, we will see you later. Or hopefully, you will release your new book soon enough. So we can speak again over that time. All right.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, Yasser.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye. Bye. Okay, everyone. That was. I hope that was a lively and interesting discussion. Like I was mentioning, from different time zones and different parts of the world. Two different writers from different parts of the world yet sharing a message. This is what the internet, this is what my channel can do for all. So thank you everyone for watching. I guess you would have seen all through the video the subscribe button. Maybe you can see it right now, the big subscribe button also. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please do share this video with others. All right? Please do share this link with many others. So everyone, what else to say? Until next time, this is Yasir Suleiman for you saying